this is Linda Cohn from ESPN, and you're listening to the ML Sports Platter.
It is the ML Sports Platter all over the major platforms. Download, subscribe, leave feedback, and a 5-star review. For example, if you have an Apple smartphone, find that purple podcast button, tap it, hit search, type in ML Sports Platter, and you can hit the subscribe button to get new and archived episodes of the program with past guests like Tyler Dunn from Go Long and Adrian Wojnarowski, the lead NBA insider and newsbreaker for ESPN. You can hit me on Twitter at Mike L. Sports, and of course on Instagram and Facebook, ML Sports Platter. We're brought to you by Brian Conboy of Mass Mutual New York State, Axe Exotic Pets, and our great friends at Stanley Law Offices. Together, they'll work to get you the maximum award. Go ahead and log on to StanleyLawOffices.com, StanleyLawOffices.com. This episode really is going to be just me talking about Jon Rahm winning the U.S. Open, what it means for him, what it means for Spain and European golf, what it means for golf in general. First things first, I got to share a number, that just a stat that just blows my mind. I think it was Golf Digest and a couple other publications that had it. And if you're a golf diehard, right, like I am, my game gets worse and worse, but I love it. I play it. I don't play enough to care anymore really about score. I'm right around a bogey player at the current time. I have the potential to shoot in the low 80s to low to mid 80s, but sometimes I've gone out in 9 and shot, low 40s and this and that. I've had a shot at shooting really, really good scores, and I get double or a triple, and it's golf, and, you try to get a couple pars, bounce back, and say, well, I was right around that bogey golf thing or right at it. And so, who cares? And I was outside, I saw my friends, blah, blah, blah. But if you love golf, if you're a diehard, I mean, this is an unbelievable, unbelievable stat. So Jon Rahm became the 4th golfer ever to close birdie in the U.S. Open. Okay? That is remarkable. You know who the other 3 guys are? Here they are. Ben Hogan did it at Oakmont in 1953. Jack Nicklaus did it at Baltusrol in 1980. And then in 1982, it was done by Tom Watson at Pebble Beach. As the Twitter universe says, that's it, that's the list. And then Jon Rahm became the fourth player to go birdie to close out a U.S. Open. When you look at the U.S. Open and you see, how people, how guys win majors. Every major, look, in a lot of spots, obviously, you have to do the same thing in all the majors, right, to win. I mean, you got to putt. You got to putt great on the weekends, especially. You got to be really good for 4 days for the most part. If you're not, you got to have then 2 spectacular days. Like there are a lot of things that the majors have in common as far as being victorious. There's no question. But when you start breaking it down and separating them to see, okay, let's see exactly, right, what this major is known for, right? The Open Championship, can you handle the elements? Everything from wind to rain, certain gusts coming in from different areas and coasts and this and that, and obviously the terrain, right? Like when you hit the ball and the ball goes all over the place, and the fescue and the big bunkers, like the elements, right? That's the Open Championship, I think, number 1 that kind of sits above everything else. I think number 2, when you look at the PGA Championship, you got to have the best all-around game. And it doesn't matter where that is played. It doesn't matter if it's at Oak Hill. It doesn't matter if it's at Baltusrol. It doesn't matter if it's at, wherever. there needs to be a complete all-around game against the best field. I mean, we're dealing with, usually it's the top 30 golfers in the world are in there. Many times it's 48 out of 50, or 97 or 8 or 9 out of 100. And so you got to have your best all-around game, and you've got to do it against the best field. The Masters, to me, is like shot shaping, I think, is the biggest thing, right? You gotta maneuver around the golf course. You gotta be right there. You gotta know where you are in the course. You gotta hit it up and around trees. It's a shape course. It's a shot maker place. And then the U.S. Open is hang in there and make pars, right? I mean, that's really what this U.S. Open is all about. If you go back to, it doesn't matter. You could go back to harder U.S. Opens where the USGA has made it almost impossible sometimes to land an approach shot, and guys are winning with plus scores. You go back to Tiger Woods in 2000 blowing the field away. You can go back to by 15 strokes, I think, where he was minus 12, and then the next person was minus 3. You can go back years, and it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. What it just doesn't matter what U.S. Open. There are always hang in there putts to make par. Hang in there, hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. I mean, that's really what it is. Keep hanging in, keep hanging in. Yeah, I was looking that up. I wanted to see who was in second, third, and beyond. Tiger Woods finished minus 12 at Pebble Beach in 2000. Miguel Angel Jimenez, I forgot about that, plus 3 was second. I was thinking it was Ernie Els, but he was at plus 3 as well. He was at plus 3. But, you look all the way down the line, Tiger was not only victorious by 15 strokes, but he was also the only guy under par. The U.S. Open is get par, stay the course, get par, make your putt, get par, stay, that mental thing. I'm not sure there's a more challenging tournament in golf from a mental standpoint. You maybe can say, well, the Ryder Cup is kind of like that because of the, the intensity, the global eyes on you, both at home, in the United States and across the pond if you're an American, or vice versa. Being from international soil, and playing all the time in America, like a Rory McIlroy, in Northern Ireland, but he plays so much in America. He lives in America. All these guys now do, right? So you could say Ryder Cup. The U.S. Open's mental hurdles are remarkable, right? I mean, they just are. It's, and you saw, Jon Rahm, I thought, was a guy who really just exceeded exceeded that. I mean, you go birdie 17, 18, you jump into a category with Watson, Nicklaus, and Hogan, and you close it out, sitting around waiting to see what your competition was going to do probably was difficult. But he did the things that Louis Oosthuizen did not. Right, he did the things that Harris English did not. He did the things that Koepka and Morikawa and Grayson Berger and Casey, and certainly a Xander Schauffele, a Rory, all those things that they did, he did not. By the way, a nice cool $2.25 million winning the U.S. Open. These purses are unbelievable. He got 600 FedEx points for this too. That's a hunk. But he stayed the course. He made a bunch of good pars. In the beginning of that back nine, there was kind of some trepidation and the like, but he hung in there. Louis Oosthuizen, again on 17, he pulls that, whips the ball left into the junk. U.S. Open down the stretch. Again, can't do that if you put it in play. And again, when I talk about golf, I'm not even really criticizing anybody. I would take any of these guys' worst day. I would take in a heartbeat. Come on. But just talking about the sport and what I saw. I mean, Louis Oosthuizen, look, you put that ball in play, and next thing you know, maybe you got a shot here, right? Then he had to, then he has to get an eagle again. We remember what happened in round 3, right, with Louis, where he made that crazy, crazy awesome putt. you know, asking somebody to get eagles on back-to-back days on 18, a little much. Little much. But again, if you put the ball in play on 17, what do we have, right? Like, what do we have, opportunity for birdie, then it's birdie. On 18, you're not overswinging, you're not pushing, you're not. So, lot to, if you're Louis Oosthuizen, now he's got 7 second-place finishes. Golf's hard. I hate to use a cliche, but it is what it is. Rory McIlroy now, I believe, is over 25 in his last stretch of majors. People are giving up on him. I'm not. That's ridiculous. Rory is still extremely young. I think if he retired today, he'd go straight into the Hall of Fame because of, his remarkable career. He's a multiple major winner, Ryder Cup success, etc. But you look at Jon Rahm. Prototypical U.S. Open win. Back nine. He goes into the back nine after birdieing 9, a lot of confidence, and just par, 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 par. And then 2 putts drop. These guys play in a different world. They're obviously a lot different than you and I. But one area that's the same in golf is for your game and the course you're playing and how you're playing. If you give yourself enough opportunities to be in a spot to score. In other words, go back to me. My bogey golf game right now. If I'm up and around the hole on a par 4 in 3 within 10, 12 feet, 7 to 10 times during a round, 8 to 12 times type of a thing, I'm going to probably make, and by the way, also inside 10, 12 feet, I'm probably going to make, 3 or 4 of those putts, right? At least. I mean, you hope for more. You hope for half. I mean, we're not robots like these guys, but, you'd hope for half. You'd hope for 6 for 12. But sometimes that's not realistic. But if you make 4, but then you have tap-in bogeys across the board, all of a sudden, that's 8 over par over a course of 12 holes. You only have 6 left. So let's say that you get a double, maybe you sneak in a birdie, that kind of cancels out, and then maybe you get bogeys the rest of the way, just kind of an unconventional way. Well, if you look at that, you're around, 13, 14 over par. That's a mid-80s score. That's okay, right? Like that. But if you're not up there in that particular area, missing greens, fly a drive in the woods, not focused, something happened in the fairway, didn't pay attention to the yard, all these things at golf, everything that happens in golf. Plus, you could go ahead and swing and think you're feeling fine, put a good swing on it, and boom, something happens in your swing. It's just, that's how it goes. And, if you get yourself into position enough, one of those putts is going to drop. Or in Rahm's case, 2 putts are going to drop. What else does it mean for golf? I'll tell you in a second. We are brought to you by Bryant Stratton College, the official college of the ML Sports Platter. If you're looking to be a Bobcat, do so now. 2- and 4-year degrees starting soon. Brand new programs just released, including a nursing program and more. Make sure you check out bryantstratton.edu and fill out the questionnaire. They can kind of place you and figure out what's best for you. And hey, if you're 15, 20 years into a career and you're looking to switch, get a new degree, go in a different direction, Bryant Stratton can help you with that as well. bryantstratton.edu. Don't forget, they are the official college of the ML Sports Platter. And if you're in and around Central New York, they have 2 great locations, James Street and in Liverpool. bryantstratton.edu, and of course, find them on all social media platforms. What does this mean for Rahm, for golf, for Spain? I mean, look, the first thing is I love Jon Rahm's. First of all, I like him, period. I think he's a classy guy. He's a really, really great player. He hits the ball a mile. He's entertaining to watch. He's intense on the course. You can really, really, really get used to guys like this, right? I mean, they're easy to root for. They're easy to like. I tell you what, I loved in the post-game when he talked about in the post-match with Seve Ballesteros. And we know that all of the European golfers, and especially Spaniards coming from the homeland, we know the respect they have for Seve. Jon Rahm, Sergio Garcia, all the Europeans, guys from Ireland, Padraig and Rory, and every possible European, Martin Keimer. You go on and on and on. All the Colin Montgomery, all the European golfers through the days, They all have a wonderful Adam Scott. They all have an well, he's from Australia, but they all have an unbelievable appreciation for Seve Ballesteros, right? Ian Poulter. I mean, all these guys, right? And it was great to see Jon Rahm simply say, "Hey, this one's for Seve." I mean, that was so cool. Here's Jon Rahm on Father's Day with his smoke show wife and his brand new baby, winning his first U.S. Open. And oh, by the way, coming off of the Memorial and the COVID situation where he was beating the field, was going to win the tournament probably, and has a contact tracing issue of some sort, which is absurd to me, where they have to pull him off the course and not let him play. I thought that was dumb. I get the safety first, this and that and the other thing, but look what's happened since we've moved on, right? Nobody has corona. And Rahm certainly doesn't, and now he's a U.S. Open champ, but he had to battle back from the adversity there. And oh, by the way, probably couldn't prepare for the U.S. Open the way he wanted to as well. But here he is with all these factors, right? Fighting the adversity with corona, his wife and his kid on the course, Torrey Pines, the history. I think he got married or proposed on the course. So many other good moments. I think his first PGA win was at Torrey Pines. There's so many things going on. He just turns immediately to Seve Ballesteros, and that tells you how much respect that he has for Seve and how much respect all the European golfers have for Seve Ballesteros. And what it means for Spanish golf. I mean, I think there's going to be a ripple effect. I really do. I mean, I think when a guy breaks through in a historical way and presents a historical narrative, I think that things inside the country, they follow suit. Kids who are a little bit kind of into golf, waffling about, wow, I want to be Jon Rahm now, right? Like, I want to be another Spaniard to win the U.S. Open. Like, those things happen. It happened in Ireland. Look at Rory. Look at Padraig. Look at all these guys who are now playing, and between that age group of 22 and 30, 31, they all grew up idolizing Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods changed the game in more ways than one. He's the largest global golf figure ever. I mean, when you talk about moving the needle, global icons, I mean, it goes, you start with your team or your respective sport, whatever the case may be, then it goes to what's your impact in that sport and then in the country, and then what about the global? A lot of guys don't go that far. A lot of guys, like Mike Trout, for example, most would say he's the best player in the game when he's healthy. He's always hurt. But when he's healthy, he's the best player in the game. But Mike Trout ain't global, right? Shohei Ohtani is more global, because he's from Japan. He's doing his thing. But Shohei Ohtani is nowhere near as global as, historical figures like Tiger Woods, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, for example. I mean, Michael Jordan made basketball global, period, end of discussion, with the Dream Team and all the rest. Tiger Woods helped. I think golf was already global because of, the Ryder Cup and, I think, Jack Nicklaus wanting to expand the Ryder Cup, make it more of a competitive deal with Europe and the group, and going over to the higher ups in England and Europe and everywhere else, and just saying, hey, let's get this thing going, let's expand. Now that hurt the Americans down the road because Europe started kicking the U.S.'s asses, into another stratosphere. But you get the point. The game was pretty global. I mean, you had Seve. I've been talking about him a lot the last few minutes. But then when Tiger took off, I mean, it was holy. Now there were other smaller countries playing, and the game grew a ton globally and obviously at home in the United States, the Nike commercials and that partnership and all the rest. There are very few players who become global, athletes who become global in that regard. Ali, Jordan, right, like Tiger. But when an individual, and you know what, Hideki Matsuyama is another example. I mean, he wins the Masters from Japan. That's going to be a multi-million-dollar win for him. That's going to be a win that has ripple effects, I think, in the country of Japan, because Hideki Matsuyama was probably already idolized and all the rest, but now youngsters who are like thinking about golf, now they're going to get into golf. Now they're going to play golf. Folks who are kind of in and out of golf, maybe they'll dedicate themselves to golf. I want to be Hideki Matsuyama. I want to be, a Japanese player to win the Masters. I want to go over to the States and dominate. Jon Rahm following the footsteps, idolizing a countryman in Seve Ballesteros. Now people idolize Jon Rahm. People have idolized Sergio Garcia. Sergio finally wins the Masters. Sergio is a hero, obviously, in Spain. He's a Ryder Cup legend. But, winning the Masters and all the rest, it just added to his resume and his portfolio. Sergio is a Hall of Famer. Jon Rahm building a Hall of Fame career. These are the things that happen in golf. There will be a ripple effect in Spain. Trust me. What it means for golf, it means that another guy who was knocking on the door, right, and primed and ready to win a major championship, he finally broke through, right? Like he finally broke through. That's it. And I think it just signifies, the game more and more and more. I mean, it really does. It's here's a guy who was primed and ready. Fighting, tooth and nail to do it. I mean, look at all the other guys who haven't gotten a major still. Ricky Fowler, right? There's tons of guys. Paul Casey, Ian Poulter, right? Like, there's a lot of guys who don't have Matt Kuchar. There's a lot of players who don't have a major championship. Jon Rahm was knocking on the door for a good bit of time here, right? And he finally gets it done. Finally wins a major. He's also 26 years old, which, again, lots of golf to go, man. Lots of golf to go. He had a top 4 in the 2018 PGA. He finished 4th in that same year in the Masters. He tied for 11th in the Open Championship in 2019. He's won some golf awards. I mean, he's won... European Tour Golfer of the Year. He's won the Ben Hogan Award twice. He's been a guy who's been, he's gotten on the tour and he has knocked on the door. 6 PGA Tour wins now, 7 on the European Tour, and now the U.S. Open. It's going to change his entire career. So it's going to do a lot for Spanish golf. It's going to do a lot for, Rahm. Again, it's another player who has not won, a major, and, now we can cross off another guy. And I had a feeling, and Mickelson winning the PGA obviously is the story of the golf year so far, but I had a feeling that for the most part, that, we would have a couple more first-time major winners. I didn't think it would be a full sweep. I thought like a Rory, a Spieth, Patrick Reed, Padraig, whoever. I didn't expect Phil to win a major. But, whoever's won a major before, right? Like Brooks Koepka, all these different guys, right? Like Louis Oosthuizen. Xander Schauffele still doesn't have a major, right? And you have all these different young players who are coming. I mean, they're coming hard. They're coming fast and furious. The Matthew Wolfs of the world, they're coming. Colin Morikawa's already got a major, right? Like Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, those guys, Martin Keimer, who've already got majors or multiple majors, Adam Scott. Thought, Gary Woodland, Bubba Watson, thought maybe, one of those guys, Shane Lowry, one of those guys maybe repeats or wins a third, wins a fourth, wins a fifth. But I thought it'd be a split year. I didn't think that it would be, by any stretch of the imagination, I didn't think it would be a year like 2003. I just didn't. I thought that we would probably have maybe a half and half type of a thing. I didn't expect something like that to happen. I didn't think we'd have a Y.E. Yang kind of year, a Michael Campbell kind of year, or 2003, where Mike Weir wins the Masters, Jim Furyk wins at Olympia Fields at the U.S. Open, right? Ben Curtis is 363 or in that range for the Open Championship, and Sean McKeel wins at Oak Hill. I covered that tournament. I didn't think that, any of those guys... I didn't think we'd have a year like those guys gave us in 2003, 4 first-time major winners. I thought we'd had a couple. I didn't expect Phil, and I'm glad who's won. This has been a great year in golf. Again, unfortunately, no Tiger, but it's been a great year in golf. I think golf is in good hands. We needed the Mickelson tournament and the win for the ratings game as well. I think this is a just been a great year. Period. End of discussion. I really do. And the two guys who break through and win majors, Hideki Matsuyama making history, Jon Rahm making history, Japan and Spain respectively, I think is absolutely terrific stuff. And now we'll see what happens with the with the rest of the the year. We're coming up here on as I record this, we've got the Travelers Championship is taking place here in Connecticut. It's a decent field. We'll kind of lead in here to that, and then we're gonna get into July. We're gonna get into Open Championship, and it's gonna be a great year. And by the way, I do like. It took me a little getting used to, because the PGA was always kind of like, oh, it's the last major, and frankly, I'm not all the way used to it, because when the Open Championship ends, I'm like, oh, now that's over, So I'm not all the way there as far as getting used to it. However, I do kind of like the PGA where it is. It gives us a major in April, a major in May, a major in June, a major in July, and then we can kind of sit back, and really watch the rest of the tournaments and the non-majors and all the rest. And there's some really good ones, in July. Obviously, leading up to the Open Championship, you always have the John Deere Classic, which leads in here. The match before that will be really good, which is not a tour event. It's DeChambeau in company in that one. Mickelson and Rogers and Brady. The Rocket Mortgage Classic will be really good. Bryson DeChambeau is a defending champion there. And then after the Open Championship, you got the Barbasol, you got the 3M, you got the World Golf Championships, the St. Jude. Great event there. Justin Thomas, defending champion. You got the Wyndham. You've got the BMW. Jon Rahm won it last year, by the way, the Tour Championship. Dustin Johnson. And then the Ryder Cup that was supposed to be played, last year, is this year. It's going to be spectacular. In Kohler, Wisconsin, at Whistling Straits. It just had a major, some years back, one of the great courses in the United States and the world. It's like a link-style course along the coast and the water. We've had a pretty good year. I mean, I just think the year has been really, really good. I've loved it. When we go back to, everything that we've seen, I think the competition's just been great. I think that it's been, history's been made. We've had Phil. I mean, it's been great. It really has been. And you look at the guys who have been in the winner's circle. We've had a nice, I think, and by the way, going back to Corona, remember we had the Masters in November, and then we turned around and had it again in April. Dustin Johnson won the Masters in November. But we've had Patrick Cantlay. We've had Sergio had that big win at the Sanderson Farms, back in October. Kevin Na has been in the winner's circle. Patrick Reed, Brooks Koepka, Daniel Berger. DeChambeau has been making, creating some controversy and the like with the way he plays, the way he talks, the press conferences, his rivalry with Brooks Koepka, the Players' Championship with Justin Thomas. That was an awesome event. Jordan Spieth's gotten back in the winner's circle when everybody gave up on him. Not everybody, but most, in terms of winning the Valero. A lot of people thought Rory couldn't win anything, that he goes out and wins the Wells Fargo. So there's a lot to love about this golf year. And, look, Jon Rahm just adds to it. And I can't wait for the Open Championship. I can't wait. The Open Championship is similar to the U.S. Open in a way that we get golf at cool times. Now, life now, married kid, you get up in the morning, a little harder to, just plop down and say, let's just watch some open golf. Back in the day, you could get up, watch open golf, and go play 18, right? But it's still pretty cool to just wake up and boom, golf is on. The U.S. Open, when when they're playing it on the West Coast, it's pretty cool, or the PGA on the West Coast, because you can be at 7 or 8 o'clock and guys are like halfway through a round, if that, in some cases. Not on that final Sunday, but pretty close. And you can watch golf from 7, 8 at night until 10, 11, and then watch a little bit of the recap and not really miss a beat, right? Like, you can miss a few holes, but you're not missing the whole thing. Whereas the Open Championship now, I mean, if you have busy lives, you get up, you try to get going, next thing you know, you watch a little bit, and then you kind of stray away, and a few hours goes by, and you're like, oh, this is the replay. This isn't the real. We've all had those days. But it's pretty cool when the West Coast highlights, right? Like, highlights the majors, and you can, if you're on the East Coast, you can kind of watch it. It's only 4 or 5 o'clock there, right around that 7, 8 o'clock time when you're putting kids down and all that other sort of thing. You've been done with dinner for an hour or two. You can kind of do that. And everybody's lifestyle is different. But one thing I know is if you love golf and you have an opportunity, you're chill and it's just you and it's on at night. I love that West Coast thing, man. I love that few hours of golf. You're watching right there. It's live. It's like 5 o'clock there. It's awesome. So congratulations to Jon Rahm. Big time win, and can't wait for the rest of this golf calendar. Mike Lindsley with you here, ML Sports Platter. It's all brought to you by our great friends at Liverpool Physical Therapy. Go ahead and visit them online at liverpoolphysicaltherapy.com. Peter and Mike and the gang doing a great job. No doctor prescription is necessary for the first 10 physical therapy visits in New York State. Liverpool Physical Therapy, a proud ML Sports Platter sponsor. Tip of the cap, thank you as well to Rosie's Corner, Welch & Company Jewelers, Camilla's Golf Club, and our great friend Brian Conboy at Mass Mutual, New York State. Tax-efficient retirement planning. Go with Brian today. Maybe you're retiring soon. You're putting a youngster through college. Brian can help point you in the right direction. He opened our eyes to a lot of new things. Go see him on LinkedIn and Facebook and at advisors.massmutual.com. Brian Conboy at Mass Mutual, New York State. He is the official advisor, financial advisor of the ML Sports Platter. Hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports. And as I always tell you, enjoy the games.